Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to wrap up the Super Bowl 2021 halftime show by The Weeknd. I did a review of that in an earlier video, and now there's some more data that's come out. There's reviews have been tabulated of what people thought of it and what it's done for The Weeknd's sales of his catalog. And we're also going to talk about who could or might or should be performing next year in 2022. And I'll give you who I'd like to see, and so stick till the end, and then also vote on who you would like to see for 2022. Hi, I'm Tim Wolf. I'm a Nashville-based singer-songwriter, and you can listen to some of my music. There's some links down below in the description. You can go to my Spotify channel, or you can just look for it, Tim Wolf. And there's also a link down below where you can get 10 of my songs. You can download them for free. Go into the description, and you can find that there. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video. Appreciate it very much. I see you. Appreciate it. So The Weeknd performed at the Super Bowl 55. As the reports were, he spent $7 million of his own money. Was it worth it? Plus the 10 that the Super Bowl gave him, according to reports, so $17 million was spent. His sales did go up substantially. So after playing the Super Bowl, The Weeknd found himself in the top 5 of both the Hot 100, which are the singles, and the Billboard 200, which is the albums chart. So his long-running hit, Blinding Lights, stayed at number 3. Couldn't go any higher. In fact, it didn't move up from where it was, which is interesting, because usually from the bump of the Super Bowl, perhaps he could have gotten a bump, but it's been on the charts for 62 weeks. There's not going to be any new people who haven't heard it who wants to stream it that it's going to give it that bump. And also there's 2 extremely strong songs ahead of it. Driver's License by Olivia Rodrigo, which is a powerhouse. It's been at the top for 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks. I lose track. It's one of the greatest female debuts without an accompanying artist in many years. And she's just killing it with that. And then Cardi B debuted at number 2 with her new single. And Cardi B is such a mega star that when she gets ahead of steam, she drives her songs to number 1. So the competition was especially severe in the week after the Super Bowl. So he couldn't do any better than 3 with Blinding Lights on the Billboard. And then his new single, Save Your Tears, is at number 4. And on the Billboard 200, he's got a collection of his hits called Highlights, which was released on February 5th, and it debuted at number 2. It's kind of like a greatest hits collection. Doesn't have any new songs. It has 18 songs in it. And so he's in the top 5 of both the Hot 100 and the Billboard 200, so not too shabby. Blinding Lights, even though it's probably one of the very strongest songs from 2020. And if it had been nominated for a Grammy, it would have had a real shot at winning some major hardware, but they didn't even make it into the nominations. That's another story, which I did talk a little bit about. Blinding Lights spiked 45% in streams for the week following the Super Bowl, and sales up 247%. So it definitely juiced his numbers following the Super Bowl. What were the reviews for the Super Bowl? Now that there's been time to tabulate them, was mixed reviews. I liked the show, although I didn't put it at the top of, to me, still the greatest that I've seen was Prince. Prince put on a show that raised the hair in the back of my neck. He was wearing high heels, he was playing guitar, and it was raining, and he's out there doing high kicks while he's playing very difficult guitar and singing. I was scared to death he was going to slip. He just was electrifying. And so, rest in peace, Prince, amazing artist. But it was still better than last year. It was better than Maroon 5, 2019. That was anemic. So it was kind of in the middle of the pack, in my opinion. It wasn't the best. 17 million is a lot to spend. The halftime show received mainly mixed reviews, although a vast majority of them were positive. Many labeled the show as unspectacular, criticized the audio or lack of guest performers. That was a unique thing. He just did the guest performers. I don't know why you have to have guest performers. It's only 12 minutes long. He has a bunch of hits. He can do his own songs for 12 minutes. He's got plenty of hits. So I don't get the idea of needing guest performers. I kind of liked that feature myself, that he didn't have guest performers. He's the headliner, let him do it. So here's some of the comments. The New York Times said it was sturdy, sometimes impressive. Sturdy, that's not really very complimentary. Patrick Ryan of the USA called the performance charismatic. He called it a departure from previous year's joyous performance. He opinionated that it did not live up to some past halftime shows, such as the 2007 show performed by Prince, again my favorite, I agree with that, or the 2013 show headed by Beyonce. He said, though, that it was a vast improvement over the 2011 show by the Black Eyed Peas, which wasn't very good in my opinion, or the 2019 show by Maroon 5. But the worst one was The Who. They came over like they didn't even know this was a big deal. It was like they hadn't even rehearsed for it. That was horrible, in my opinion. Pitchfork called the performance a fever dream for the whole family. It was goofy, celebratory, and even a little bit unsettling. Nate Scott, for the win, gave the performance a lukewarm review, saying that the performance was good and fine, it wasn't great. He criticized the camera work featured inside the segment of the labyrinth, which was very disorienting, and I think that was on purpose. Spencer Kornhaber of The Atlantic said it's tempting to give The Weeknd points for edginess, but his commentary on emptiness is pretty empty. He also wrote, when the time came to ascend the biggest stage in the world, Prince was raunchier, Madonna was ruder, Janet Jackson actually upset people, and Beyonce formed a political confrontation. The Deadline, Dominic Patton called it a touchdown, said it was a technical spectacle. The Independent, Rachel Brodsky gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, calling it slick and hyper-stylized. Yahoo Entertainment said it was one of the most dazzling halftime shows in recent memory. That's one of the more warmer ones. And said that it was on par with the previous year's halftime show with Shakira and Jennifer Lopez. Joe Rivera of the Sporting News said, for the most part, it was unique and high energy. So it's a mixed bag. It's not at the top, but it's definitely not the worst. I think it's above the mid-range myself. Okay, that's enough with the 2021 Super Bowl halftime show. Let's move into next year. Who should play? Who will play? What's a prediction? I would say the top artist who won't play but should is Taylor Swift. And the reason being, she has a contract with Diet Coke, and it's the halftime shows is represented by Pepsi, so that's a conflict of interest. So according to the Detroit News, Pepsi is sponsoring the show through next year, but nobody knows after that. So it would have to require Pepsi not doing, or Taylor to get out of her endorsement deal, but she's made millions and tens of millions of dollars from that endorsement. So money always is an important consideration, and she doesn't need the exposure. But to me, she's the number one candidate. Has never done a Super Bowl halftime show, and she should be the one. But most likely, I suppose there could be an exception generated, but since Pepsi is sponsoring the show and she's got an endorsement deal with Coke and they're like mortal enemies, that probably won't happen until either she isn't with Coke or Pepsi is no longer doing the halftime show. Rihanna has 14 number one hits, and her profile has only grown since her last album 5 years ago. But the Super Bowl seems an unlikely forum because she slammed the NFL in 2019 after turning down an offer to perform at halftime, telling Vogue, "There are things within the NFL that I do not agree with at all," saying that she'd be a sellout and an enabler by doing part of the show. But that was before her management firm entered into a long-term partnership with the NFL to amplify the league's social injustice initiatives. But at this moment, it seems like a long shot. Garth Brooks. He's a legacy country artist. He's a megastar. He was on his first ever stadium tour when COVID-19 hit and shut down live touring. He's far from the cool choice, but he brings people together and has enough material in his arsenal to deliver a feel-good, hit-packed performance for the masses. Friends in low places. Drake, the Canadian superstar. Well, we just had a Canadian superstar, so I don't think Drake will be selected. I saw some grousing on some forums. Why do we have to have a Canadian do it? So Drake would be another Canadian. I don't have a problem with that. I think music is international. He did do a commercial that was very well done at the Super Bowl commercial. And he's had over 100 top 40 hits, and he sells out arenas for the better part of the last decade. So it's safe that he could easily do 13 minutes. Harry Styles, which is a younger version, that one's a long shot to me. Stevie Wonder is 70 years old. He performed it in 1999, which in a show that also featured Gloria Estefan and Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. That wasn't Stevie Wonder putting those together. Apparently that was the Super Bowl. That was before. That was a different regime, a different time when they would pick the artists. And then it was later on that the Super Bowl started going for superstars. And the superstars had the option to bring in guests. Ed Sheeran is a solo star all on his lonesome. He plays stadium shows all by himself in his looper. Stadium shows with like 60, 80,000 people. He could easily do the Super Bowl. He's absolutely amazing. He's had 5 songs that have surpassed 1 billion streams on Spotify. Foo Fighters were just named the AAA, this is unrelated, but well related to the Foo Fighters. AAA, which is alternative, AAA, I don't even know what the 3A stand for. Alternative adult. Anyway, AAA radio is a format, and is also a chart on the Billboard. It's only been a chart for 25 years, and there was an article that came across my desk talking about the top artists in the AAA format, and the Foo Fighters are the #1 artist for the past 25 years in the AAA format. And so kudos to them. And so the Foo Fighters, the last alt rocker standing, seemed like the only band still interested in going big instead of going home. And since Prince already did Best of You on the Super Bowl stage, Dave Grohl and company need to repay the favor. Billie Eilish, the 19-year-old that swept the Grammys, the big awards last year, and it would be an edgy choice, but if the NFL wants to tap into youth, they should go with Billie Eilish. Eminem, the Detroit rapper, is past his controversial stage, and he's got enough sport anthems, Till I Collapse, higher self-empowerment songs, Not Afraid, Lose Yourself, to turn in a rousing performance. Jay-Z, his affiliation with the NFL would seem like an inside job because he has an affiliation with them, as I mentioned earlier. But 25 years after his debut album, he's amassed a catalog of smash hits and proved himself to be one of the hip-hop's top live performers. And a cameo from Beyonce wouldn't hurt. In fact, why not do a duo? Have the first husband-wife team to do it. Elton John. Elton John is, I think, wrapping up, or maybe already wrapped up, his farewell tour. I did see him on that tour. He was phenomenal. I love Elton John. He would have been a great substitute for The Who in 2010 because they were horrible when they had their classic rock period. But why not Elton John? Miley Cyrus is another one. I don't know about Miley Cyrus. I don't think she's a big enough. Queen with Adam Lambert. Queen has been riding the great success since the movie Bohemian Rhapsody, and they're touring. Adam Lambert is killing it, replacing Freddie Mercury. I think that'd be amazing. Pink, I saw Pink in concert. She does acrobatics on the ropes above the stadium while she's singing. I don't know how she even does that. How does she have the air while she's doing these very complicated aerobatics? That would be amazing. And another one, Post Malone. Is it too soon for Post Malone? I mean, Post Malone has been the biggest artist for the past 2 years. He's been the top artist according to the Billboard. This article didn't mention Post Malone, but I'm mentioning Post Malone. Of all of those, Taylor Swift would be the top choice if it wasn't for the endorsement issues. So one day, perhaps she will do it if she wants to. She doesn't need the exposure, but I think she would. It's the biggest stage in the world. Most people watching. So it's interesting. We'll have to wait and see what it is. So that's all I have for now. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Hey everybody, this is Tim Wolf. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please go to the link down below in the description. There's a Bitly link. Listen to my music at Spotify. I appreciate it very much. It means a lot to an artist if you follow them. If you would be kind enough to like the video if you enjoyed it and share it with your friends. Finally, be sure to subscribe. And then also there are other videos on this screen that you can watch. And I'll see you next time. Thank you so much.